as an agent where I can actually go out and get more business. I'm going to show you some time-saving tips and techniques in using these products. And I'm going to show you some personal stories that worked for me and little tricks that I learned along the way over the last 20 years that helped me. So first and foremost, I think I'm getting to recognize most faces, my name is Colleen DeLange. I'm actually a trainer for my Rolls Royce and the GLR. They send me out on the road on beautiful days like this to come and show you guys some tips and techniques that we hope will help you. After today's class, I'm going to send you some handouts. So don't worry, if you're not taking step-by-step notes, when you leave today, I'm going to make sure that you get handouts. You'll also receive a little survey that will let us know what you thought of the class. Today we're going to start off with lead generation, but before we do, I am so excited about something that we just got last week that I really want to show it to you because it's something for me as an agent I have been asking for over 2 years, and quite honestly I'm a little disappointed it took this long to actually get it. So when I came out here originally, I explained to you that a lot of times when you are getting calls from, let's say, a buyer, and they just found 4 or 5 properties on Zillow, we were having to go into what I described as the multiple address search, and we were having to do high, low, the address, and then add in all these extra steps. What I had asked for as an agent is I wanted one field that I could either copy and paste or that I could type information in and find 15 addresses or 10 addresses or however many that buyer gave me all at once. Because quite honestly, as an agent, I have found that it's very frustrating when the buyers are finding stuff faster on Zillow than I'm able to find it in the MLS. That's a huge concern for me. So what I'm here to show you is what we finally got released that actually will level our playing field a little better. When those buyers call you and they have 5 addresses that they're rattling off, we don't want you to have to go to open up multiple addresses, put in the high, put in the low, put in the address, hit add. We want you to be able to use one field, and we want you to be able to type in up to 30 addresses at one time and find everything in one search, okay? So let's say you are looking for 51972 Huntley. So my Huntley property that went back on the market unfortunately this morning, it's actually Huntley Drive, but the cool thing about this field that I'm showing you is that it will automatically find the drives, the ways, the courts, the places, anything after Huntley, whether it's Huntley Circle or Huntley Village Drive or whatever the heck it happens to be. It has a built-in wildcard. You can't even see it, but what that means is anything after there is automatically going to be picked up. Does anybody have a property address of a can I use your 345 Claire?
Claire.
All right. So now I'm looking for 345 Claire. When I do that, I can keep typing, even though it says multiple address, which I'm trying to get Brian to change. I'm trying to get him to say addresses, so we know that it's more than one. You can actually keep typing and just hit enter. So if you find that you have a buyer calling you with 10 addresses, you don't have to do those painful steps of multiple searching any longer. There is one caveat, because we're good at telling you that there's a built-in wildcard here, but there sometimes will be, let's say, a directional. Let's say it's 345 North Claire. Now here's the problem. Some agents spell out North. Some agents just put the N. Some agents put the N in the period. Now all of a sudden we have a mess, right? How do we find it? Because now it has this directional piece. So here is a little tip. If you know it has something before the Claire, whether it's north or west or whatever it happens to be, if you simply put an asterisk after the number and before the name of the street, it will search and find all of those for you. So if I'm searching for 345 North Claire, I'm going to type it in 345 space asterisk Claire. That will find any norths, ways, anything that has that directional before it.
Try 33E Tacoma. It's for east.
Okay.
Just do that and see if it comes up. Space.
All right, and Tacoma.
Tacoma.
T-E-A?
No, T-A.
T-A, I'm sorry.
T-A.
C.
Yeah, T-A-C-O-M-A.
Okay. That's not how I would have spelled it, so thank you for the
I know,
clarity.
just think about it.
So when you do that, so if it's north or east or west or anything like that, by using that asterisk, it's kind of your wild card. It says, I don't know what it might be east, it might be west, it might be north, but it will bring up all of those, no matter if they spelled it out, or they used a directional, or they just put N for north. That way you don't miss it. Now you're thinking right now, well, holy cow, lady with the fuzzy hair, you got 66 results. I don't want to have 66 results on my call. You're right. As soon as you filter down your active or your pending, I'm not sure if that's an active or a pending. Is it pending? Okay, so we'll do actives and pending. That's fine. So I'm going to do active, and if they're calling you and they found them on Zillow, they may be active or pending. Now what I've done is I've actually added 3 in here. And as you can see, as soon as I put my filters in, now I'm locating those property records. There may be an east, there may be a west. Now all I want to do is hit my search. Let's see what we pull up. So I love when you have examples like that. So thank you, Willie, because that helps me, obviously not being out here. But see how I found East Tacoma? And I found Tacoma Circle. So there's, obviously I'm pulling up from the end now and the beginning. Yes, John?
Okay, so my pending listing is 842 North Main.
Okay.
So when I pulled the records from BSNA and I brought that in to put the listing in,
Yes.
it auto-populated 842, the letter N, and then Main Street.
Correct.
Would it make more sense in that listing to spell out north, so you're putting all that criteria in, or will the wild card still just recognize that it's just N?
The wild card will recognize it even as the N.
Okay.
So whether it is spelled out, like here you just have the E,
Yeah.
like really good question. That's why I kind of like to, I just want to throw out a new feature. I kind of want to show you how it works, and I love the examples because then we can show you. So you're right, if you only have the N, which is usually how it pulls,
Right.
but then every once in a while an agent will fill the north out. They'll type in the whole thing, and now we're trying to find it with an N, and it's not an N. This built-in wildcard will eliminate all of that confusion. All you want to do is you want to put in the address, the numbers, the wildcard, and then the street name, and it will find it right away for you. So for me, this is a way better answer than we've had up to now. That the multiple address, if you used it, you had to click 4 times to really return one address, and then you had to type in the next and the next. It really wasn't that functional. It was a workaround until we got this, but I'm very happy with this. I've been beta testing it now 2 weeks. It's fantastic. Remember that you don't have to use that wildcard on the beginning. So remember, even though it's Huntley Avenue or Huntley Drive, whether it's Tacoma Circle you saw, it automatically has that end wildcard built in. All you have to do is, if you don't know if it's a directional, a north, east, south, west, whatever, then you want to use that wildcard to make sure you're pulling it in. Okay, does that kind of make sense? I know it's a little complicated, but it certainly makes it much easier to do multiple searches.
Did the asterisk pull in the other Tacoma?
I have.
It did.
The number, because, so it'll pull in behind it as well?
Correct. And let me show you what it pulled in. And that's why I like this, because my Huntley is actually Huntley Drive. Because it automatically has that asterisk at the end, whether it's drive, way, place, I don't even have to put that in. It will automatically find it. Where you need to use the asterisk is if there's a question, like we did 345 Claire, and it was obviously Claire Hill. So it automatically brought in the hill for us, even though I didn't type it in. It's automatic wildcard. Tacoma Circle, we just put in Tacoma, so it automatically found that for us. Huntley Drive, I must have taken it off the drive. The 33 East, so I don't know, did the agent spell out East, E-A-S-T?
But how did it come up with both Tacomas? It used the address numeric and brought both of those over?
What it did is, let me go back.
If you were doing solds, then, and you were just looking at a Tacoma, then it would bring up all the Tacomas that were
Correct.
sold, and you'd have tons.
Correct. So when I originally did that, I think I had 66 records, because you're right, it's bringing up the withdrawn, the closed, the,
Yes.
pending, the everything. So as soon as I put my filter in, so if I know that person found these houses, let's say on Zillow, or I know they're sitting in front of them, a way better way is to put the addresses they're rattling off in, and then just filter it out actives and pendings, and now I'm
Gotcha.
looking at that. Okay, does that make sense?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Way
Absolutely.
better, way. I've been begging Brian for 2 years to push for this, so the fact that we have it, I am so thrilled. And it was really funny, it was actually after a class here, actually it was after the MLS committee here, I had pushed him again, and he goes, I think I have that now. So I was all excited. So for me as an agent, when I'm talking to someone and they're rattling off 5 or 6 or 7 addresses, this is way easier. than we've had before. Yes, you could go up to the power search and type each one individually, but who wants to do that? I want to do one search. I want to pull up everything. I want to email it with one click after the call. Makes it way more efficient. So I'm really excited. Now, by the way, I have this added to my quick search, but you can also add that to your full search. So remember that customize when you're doing your full search, I've added that into my full search as well. If you want to do that, you're going to go into search. You're going to open up your search. And then you're going to go to customize your fields. And the field you're actually going to add in is full address. So you'll simply go up to find, type in the word full. As soon as you do that, you'll be able to add that in and apply it. So really, really easy. So I'm going to do full, there it is. So here's my full address. I'm going to check it off. I'm going to add it to my search. And now, if it's way at the bottom and I want it way at the top, I'm just going to drag that up to the top. So full address search is right at the top of my searches. Then I'm going to go ahead and apply it. And remember, if you like it that way, you want to save that as your default search now. So every time you open this up, full address is right there. It takes half the time of trying to use that multiple address form. Okay, does that make sense? Are you happy you got that one little tip, if nothing else today? Right? I've been begging. I've just totally been begging. One other thing I do want to call to your attention. Since I was here last time, we did make a change in the mapping. Mapping always is open now. A lot of people requested that because they would forget to add the map to their criteria when they were looking for comps. So keep in mind, it's actually kind of just a separated tab now. You've got your criteria. If you click on the next part, it takes you right to your map. You don't have to bounce back and forth like you used to. So if I now want to jump into my map, I just click on that map search. It's right there. And if I want to go back to my criteria, you don't have to bounce back like you used to have to do. So we're getting better. It's coming a long way just in this last 2 weeks. I also have good news for you in the power search. I've been telling you now for 6 months that the statuses are going to be added. You probably heard me say the -A, the -P. So if you're using your power search, June 15th, you will now see -A, -P, and -C. So if you type in your power search, let's say you're trying to find 123 Cherry Street. When I do that as an agent, I now pull up 6 because Cherry Street is closed a couple times. I don't want to open 6 different records. I want to see which one's the active. Well, actives will always be at the top, but as of June 15th, you'll see a -A, a -P, and a -C, so I can quickly identify which is my active record, which is my closed record. So by June 15th, I promise the power search will even have gotten much better. All right. So thank you for letting me show you some new highlights. Since I was here, I wanted to show them to you because sometimes in an email it just doesn't make as much sense. So I actually like to show them since I'm standing in front of you. If you've taken classes with us before, you know that all of the tools as they come out are actually going to be under your resources section. My goal today is to show you some ways that you can use things like social media, your post, to actually attract new business. Now, for me, when I got my license in '97, I did those postcard mailers. You know, you'd spend $400 on those postcards and they'd drop them in the trash as soon as they pulled them out of their mailbox. It was really exciting. Now, with social media, you can actually touch a whole lot of people, especially if you have a lot of friends, let's say on Facebook or LinkedIn, or maybe you're big on Twitter. You can touch a whole lot of people for free. And I'm going to show you how if you just want to even reach more people, you can even boost a post. You can boost a post, I think it's as minimal as $4 now. You can actually choose the areas you want to boost to. You can put in keywords. You can actually put in, like I do a lot of work over by the Tech Center in Warrens. I may want to reach out, Tech Center. If they're searching something on the Tech Center in their feed, or they click on something with Tech Center in it, I'm now boosting my post geared to them. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can do when you're boosting your post for very nominal dollars. It's not like the $400 we used to spend on those postcard mailers that went right into the trash. So we're going to start off today in Market Stats. Now I'm going to show it to you up here and then I'm going to kind of walk you through it because it's got a couple cool components to it. But because it'll be a little easier for me to show it to you and then walk you through it, we're going to kind of go backwards. I'm going to show it to you. If you like it, then I'm going to show you how to use it. If you say, you know what, I probably will never use that, then you don't have to walk through it step by step. But let me show you the keys to it. Whenever I'm doing a CMA, I just did one this morning for a house I'm going to. I thought I grabbed it so I could show it to you. Whenever I'm going on a CMA appointment, I include a couple pieces in my CMA. So obviously, I have it brand. I spent $9 on a little binder to bind it. So when I'm going on a CMA appointment, I want to pull in some of these key marketing pieces. And what I'm talking about is the market stats piece. Just flip it open. Show it to you. I should have had this open already. I apologize. So when I'm going on a listing appointment, one of the things I want to do, especially in this market, is I want to educate my seller what's going on in their marketplace. But I don't want to spend a lot of time, but I want it to look like I did. So the idea with market stats is they're really just graphs that are put together for you. It took me 2 clicks to actually tell this seller, and I know it's hard to see, but in 2 clicks I was able to tell this seller that right now we are down 16.9% in our inventory. We're actually down a little bit more than that. Right now, I think it was 24 when I ran it last. So we're down almost 24% in our inventory. So it's supply and demand. Because we don't have enough homes on the market to meet the demand of the buyers, our sales price in this particular city went from $199,000 to $215,000 from last year. So we saw a $16,000 increase. So when I'm generally doing a CMA, I will give them a price range, and I will say, here's the low, because sometimes if you haven't walked into the house, you don't know what to expect. And for instance, I shared with the class last time, I went on a listing appointment, had all my comps as the normal comp, but I walked in and it had shag blue carpeting, you know, and those 70s stick-on wallflowers in the kitchen, you know, and I know they say that's coming back, but it ain't ever coming that far back. So it was like I needed to radically move those numbers from the high end to the low end. So I generally do a price range, but what this allows me to do is show them why I'm putting them on the high or low end of the price range in that scale. It also, with 1 click, I can educate them on approximately how many days is it taking. Last year it was 35, this year it's 42. So it allows me to educate them on all the key points in one graph. So now you're probably thinking, yeah, but if it takes a long time to make the graph, it doesn't make sense. Well, let me actually show you how simple it is. So when I'm getting ready to go on a listing appointment, I'm going to go under my resources, and you will have, if you don't have it yet, it may not have been relabeled, but you'll have a social media / lead gen section under your resources. Every time your association provides another tool, except for taxes and like your mortgage payment calculators, you'll find all the tools right in your toolbox. So think of resources as like your toolbox. When I go to my market stats, I'm going to show you how easy that graph was to make. Now, market stats has a couple components to it, so we're going to start with the easiest one first. When you're trying to do some quick stats to show that you are an expert in the area or you know exactly what's going on with a seller's marketplace, there is a little button right up here at the top that says Fast Stats. So for me, I work a lot in Macomb County. I know Willie does a lot of Oakland County stuff as well, but I'm going to click on Macomb County, and I'm going to say I'm going to go list a house in Richmond today. I'm going to click on the city of Richmond, and that was literally how much work I just put into that graph. So yeah, it can't be too much easier than that. But at this point, so let's break it down. So here are the numbers for April. It's always one rolling month behind, by the way. So you'll notice it's just a little over a month behind. But if I look, my inventory in Richmond is down 36.7%, so almost 40%, which actually when I ran it last month, we were down 47%, so I guess I should be thankful. So we're down 40%. We had 19 homes on the market last year. This year we only have 12. But look what it did to our sales price. We're actually seeing a decrease now in our sales price. Last month we actually saw an overage in our sales price. Again, supply and demand. But what I want to do is I want to give my sellers these numbers so that when we're pricing their home, they can see exactly where they're going to be. On the days of the market, 65 right now is our average days on market to last year's 48. So it's taking a little bit longer to get them closed. So I like these.
Go
Can I back you up just a second?
Yes, please.
Because when I'm looking under resources,
Uh-huh.
I've got two things, MLS message history and my links. Am I supposed to go somewhere and add all these?
Nope,
Widgets?
you should, when you're under resources, and I'll have to look why you're not seeing those, but if you're in Paragon, under your resources, you should see a few additional,
Oh, it was under agent services, Willie, how much she's got? Lara, membership services, all that?
She's
I'll have a few more, just because I travel through the state actually teaching this and have a few additional, but you should have things like Cloud CMA and Showing Time,
Yeah,
and.
those are under agent tools, right, but I was looking under agent services when I saw where you click, so that's why.
Market stats is what she clicked.
Yeah, Market Stats is the one I'm actually doing right now. Do you have Market
Gotcha.
Stats in there?
Okay,
These ones you may not see yet. Some of these are because My Realtors has their own back office and
Okay.
things like that, and I post classes for us and things like that. So
Gotcha.
you may not see all of those tools, but the idea is every time that your association gives you another one, this is where you're gonna go to find it. So
Thank you.
good question. Good question. All right, so let's do that. So let's actually take a look at some. Let's go into resources. I'm gonna have you kind of follow along here. So go into resources, click on your market stats button, and we're gonna do exactly what I just did. We're gonna go up to where it says fast stats. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pick Genesee County. Let's use Burton. I hear a lot of people out here in Burton. Is Burton a good one to use, you think? Good few sales going on in Burton?
There's
Which is
a lot of sales in Burton.
Okay, let's go Burton then. Sometimes it's nice when you have a good example. Okay, so in Burton now, this is a really good one to use. So thank you whoever gave me this suggestion before. Because inventory, you have an even worse inventory problem than we do, which I'm happy to see someone else has got the inventory. Sometimes I travel and it's not as bad. But here in Burton is a good example of it kind of being bad. It's taking a lot less time to close up homes in Burton. You can see that the inventory is down 72% in Burton. Wow, that's amazing. We were down 49% and it was like, holy cow, we were on the porch, and I don't know if your association allows this, but we allow overlapping showings where I am. I don't know if you guys have that.
yeah, they do.
You do, okay. So we had literally, in Sterling Heights, where Lisa and I, who travels with me a lot, we both work out of Sterling Heights a lot, and there were literally 4 of us lined up on the porch waiting to get into a listing that had just hit the market. So we thought we were bad, but you've got the same thing here. You've got 72% down. So homes are, our inventory of homes, 72% down. We have 204 on the market in 2018. We have 56 on the market in 2019. Days on market closing up much quicker. We've got 50 days last year. We've got 38 days this year. So it's a really good indicator. Look at our average and our median sales prices in Burton. We've got 89,000 was last year's median sales price, 116 this year. So prices are going up. So.
I never guessed that.
So I have heard a lot of sales in Burton. When I'm up here, a lot of people talking about it, so it kind of was resonating in my head that, now again, I haven't analyzed your numbers, but what this does is it actually takes your MLS stats, and all it does is now graph them. So, now, if you are selling condos versus homes, remember that condos are also done for you. Condos can be a little bit trickier, but if you go down to the bottom of your graph, sometimes it won't always pull all of the condo information. Sometimes there are different types of condos. There's a couple matrix here. I use it more from residential properties, but it's still nice to be able to pull that data. If you do see that there's blanks, it can be a couple things. If you notice that a city is coming up blank quite often, shoot me an email and we'll have them actually check it through Market Stats where they can run the comps and make sure the data is pulling properly. But sometimes it also means that they didn't have enough sales history to actually make that happen too. So I was out in Monroe and they literally had one sale in that city for I think it was the last 6 months, so they weren't pulling enough data to actually compile it and make a report. Yes, John, you had a question?
Can we eliminate condos off this report?
No.
If I wanted to run that, no? So
No.
condos gonna show up regardless?
It's going to show up regardless. Now, what you could do is if you wanted to get creative, I would use a snippet tool or use your PDF editor
Sure.
and only show that top and pull it in.
Sure.
What I generally do, because as I mentioned, it's good and I like to have these graphs, but what I want to do is I want to have it in my CMA. So there is, when you open these up, they open into a PDF. What I generally will do is right up here, I will simply download it, save it to my desktop, and now pull it into Cloud CMA. You know how you can upload, if you took the cloud class, we showed you how to upload documents. It's very simple. Simply download it, save it to your desktop. Now when you're in Cloud CMA, you're gonna go ahead and pull that document in. So nothing hard. By the way, you guys have the best tax record in the state that we found so far through BSNA. Your information is really good. Even in Realist, your information is a lot better than ours. So if you're doing a Cloud CMA, don't be afraid to pull in your Realist and BSNA records too. When I'm telling, especially if I haven't been to the home, if I'm one-stepping the listing, and I'm telling them about why they came up with this price per square foot, I want to show them where the square footage came from. I want to show them the BSNA record. So don't be afraid when you're actually exporting this form and you're pulling it into Cloud to also pull in the tax data the exact same way. Simply open it up in BSNA or Realist and now save it to your desktop and then pull it into your Cloud CMA. Okay? Pretty easy? Kind of makes sense so far? Okay, good. But, so that's great if you're on the selling side, but what if you are trying to use this on more of a social media scale? That's where MarketStats gives you InfoSparks. InfoSparks is really designed, whether you're new or you've been in the business for 100 years, it's allowing you to create graphs to tell a story. So right now, one of the stories that I would want to show on social media to say that, hey, I'm an expert, you should use me, would be you could do price per square foot. Here's a good one. So right now, sellers are getting more in my area, price per square foot, than they have in many, many years. I want to show them that because I want new listings. For me, I don't deal with a whole lot of buyers because I'm on the road a lot, but I do love taking a new listing here and there. So my goal would be to post out onto social media and say, hey, sellers, right now is a great time to sell because we have record low in Burton. We have 75% down in inventory. We need your house on the market. So I want to tell that story in a social media graph that I can actually post. But I'm going to show you something that I kind of came up with, how you can use this and another social media tool to not only show you're an expert, but automatically capture the lead, meaning automatically capture that person's information, name, address, email address, even before they realized you've done it. So here's the first key. So first we want to create our graph. So down here, think of these as kind of your stories that you want to tell, different types of reports that you can make. Maybe you want to show that there's been no new listings. Maybe you want to show how long, maybe you want to show closed volume of sales. For me, I would want to show price per square foot, and you can choose whether you want to do median or average. Now you want to pick the areas that you want to tell the story for. So right off the bat, it gives you the entire MLS region. That means nothing to me. What I want is I want to show my story. I want to show where I work. I work in New Baltimore. I work in Richmond. I want to show and feature the areas that are specific to me, or maybe where I have my SOI. So I'm going to go up to this top where it says add an area. And you can, when you click in that drop down, you can add an area, meaning you could add, by county. You could add by postal code. You could add just, start typing in an area. You could do school district. You can even make your own areas. I had a gentleman who, a really good friend of mine, he only does waterfront. He doesn't care about anything else. He's all about the waterfront. So his area is like 10 different cities. So where it says my areas at the top, you can actually create your own area. Even if it crosses over 9, 10 different cities, he just wanted to focus his areas on the waterfront. That was all he cared about showing in his graphs. Did you have a question?
Me?
No, yeah.
No, I'm just
Okay.
very cool.
All right, jump in. Thank you. Jump in with any questions that you have. That's why we try to do these nice and small. So if you have a particular niche and you're like, how would that work? Don't feel free to jump right in. So I'm going to show you some examples. So for me, I'm going to say that I want to use New Baltimore, and I'm going to add in another. It's kind of a waterfront area. I'm going to go to add in Chesterfield, and I'm going to simply start typing in my cities right here. And then I'm just going to pick them. So I'm going to say Chesterfield. But the MLS area, that doesn't interest me. That covers too big of a spectrum. I want to keep it into my area. So I can keep crossing my areas by clicking right in here. And I can say maybe I want to add in Richmond. You could do it by postal code if you'd prefer. Now I've actually started creating my actual graph, right? So I've got my color coding. I can now see where the numbers are falling, but this isn't gonna tell a consumer anything. They're not gonna understand that, right? We need to make it really super easy for them. So we're gonna change this from these ugly line graphs that they don't know what they mean to an actual bar graph. Okay, now it's starting to make more sense, right? Now if a consumer actually looked at this on Facebook, we would see that in 2017, they were getting 113. Then we went to 125. Now they're looking at 132 price per square foot. We can start building on this, right? We can create a story. Maybe you don't want to go back 3 years. Maybe you want to only go back 2 years. Maybe you want to go into rolling quarters, or you can do rolling 3 months, or you can actually customize it and you can make it as detailed as you want or as simple as you want. The idea is when they run their mouse over these numbers, and by the way, it shows them, Chesterfield is brown, green is New Baltimore, this is Richmond. When they roll over this on Facebook, it's going to give them a live look at the numbers, just like you're seeing here. So it's an interactive graph. They can actually get more into the detail too. So let's say you created this graph, you're now showing them why they should sell right now because price per square foot has gone through the roof due to low inventory. Now we want to go in and we want to share this. You could print this, by the way, if you wanted to add it, if you wanted to print it to a PDF, add it to your CMA. You could print it, just take it along with you on your listing appointment. Where I generally use this is I will click the share button, and then it's going to ask you, well, how did you want to share it? If you want to tell a story, then you probably want to lock your numbers or make it static. Because here's the problem with the market we're in, we're kind of seeing little waves right now. So let's say next month, price per square foot plummets down. I don't think it will, but let's say that happens. And you've now made it a live graph. When they click on it, your story's not going to make sense, right? They're going to say, well, she's saying it's more per square, but now I'm looking at the graph and it actually says less. So if you're creating a story to show that you know the marketplace and are an expert in that area, you probably want to make it static or locked. That's going to keep those numbers in that graph just as they are when they click on it, whether they click on it now or 2 months from now. Now, if you're just trying to show people different things like how long it's taking to close properties, then maybe you want to actually make that a live graph. So if they come back to your post 2 months from now and they click on it, it's going to reflect the new current numbers of how long it's taking. So remember, if you're trying to tell a certain story, you probably want to have it static. So it's locked and it's always going to be that story. But if you're trying to say, hey, do you want to know what's going on in the market today? And they click on it 2 months from now because they've saved your post, they can actually do live and get updated numbers. It's just how do you want to post it. So for me, you could actually make a PDF of that. Again, you could pull that into cloud. You could, if you're charting the market, I have a friend, he obviously has a little too much time on his hands. He charts the market in his Excel graphs and he watches it and he's an analytical guy, used to be an engineer, so I guess that makes sense. And he will actually pull this and he will track it and go over it every month. I'm not quite that detailed. So for me, I just want to now go to a social media site and I want to share it. So when you click social media and share, let me show you what happens. It actually creates a URL or a link. So if you're doing let's say it's kind of an obscure social media site, you could actually copy that URL and put it in there. Or let's say you're doing one of the common social media sites, like maybe Facebook. Maybe you want to tweet it out on Twitter. Maybe you just want to email it to someone. You can actually use these little keys right up here at the top. A little tip, there are 184 different places right now that you can actually share that to. Would I share it on all of them? No. Would I share it on my top ones where I have lots of friends who I know I'm going to get business from? Absolutely. So if I wanted to simply share this graph on Facebook, I'm going to click on that Facebook button. Now, nobody wants to read a 27-paragraph report in their Facebook feed, right? So Inman studies actually say that your post should have a call to action and should be between 3 and 5 sentences. Tell them why you want them to see this. Now, by the way, this is not the ugly thing they're going to see. When you actually post it, they're going to see a graph. But you want to put a reason for them to click on it. So I would say something like, unbelievably low amount of inventory in Burton. I thinking about selling your home, you should call me today. Look where sellers are, what they're getting price per square foot now versus the last 5 years, whatever story you've told. You can also, and the next question I always get, well, Colleen, if it's a real estate post, especially if it's about a listing, shouldn't it go on a business page? And the answer is yes. NAR's rules are that you should, especially if you're promoting a listing, that you should actually promote it to your business page first. Now this is not exactly a social media class, but let me explain. Your business page and your personal page should be linked, meaning you should have set up your business page from your personal page, and here's why. If you have them linked, when you go to share from one onto the other, it's one click. So for me, most people who want to see my listings are friends of mine. I've got probably 1,000 Facebook friends. A lot of them are realtors, and I want them to see my listing. The problem is, NAR says, okay, but let's say you're new to social media. Let's say that you've only got 30 or 40 friends, and they're all little green people, and you have no little yellow people on your site. Now NAR says, well, but wait, were you doing that? Is that a fair housing violation? Because you've only now exposed your listing to the little green people. What about the little yellow people? So the idea is, if you share first to a business page and then share it to your personal page, you're covered, because now you're sharing to both. You're giving the public the opportunity to view it, and you're making sure that you still cover your friends who know you and buy houses from you. Does that make sense? Okay. If you are a broker, or you have, like Willie has a broker page or a company page, then you can also, if you manage that page, you can share it. So I manage the My Realsource page, and we'll put stories out occasionally. So if I wanted to share this on the My Realsource page, I can also share it that way. So keep in mind, you can share it from your personal page, your business page. Especially if it's a listing though, I encourage you to share it to your business page and then your personal. That way if NAR looks at you, you're totally covered. You're not breaking any of the rules. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. I had to get the clarity on why do I have to do that again? Because when it first came out, it didn't really make sense to me. So if you wanted to, let's say I wanted to write record low inventory, driving home prices way up. Whatever it is. Give them a reason though to click on the link. Check out your area. Click link below, whatever you want to say. I'm going to do it kind of fast. From here, I now want to post that right to Facebook. When I'm posting it, they're not going to see this ugly banner, by the way. They're going to actually see this live graph. So let's actually take a look at what your friends are going to see when they go to Facebook. It's generally pretty quick. Now I knock on wood when I say that, because the one time I say it, that's right when it'll be slow. But here's what they're going to see. So they're going to see your post, and now at this point, they can see record low inventory. When they run their mouse over it, it actually will show them the numbers, so they're interactive. When they click on it, it takes them right to that interactive graph that you created. Okay, does that make sense? So if you're trying to get new listings and you're trying to show them, hey, now's the day, today's the day, we've got no inventory in Burton, sell, 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 here's a really easy way to do it. So I liked this and I thought, well, that's good, but where's the capture? So for me, this was cool, but I wasn't capturing anything. So that takes us to our next piece. Cloud has the capture. So in my mind, now I have two social media products, but they do two different things. How do I, if somebody's interested in selling their home now, and they want to know what's it going to mean to them, how do I capture it? So you have two different pieces. So I had this idea one day, and I plugged them in together. So I said, okay, here's what's going on in your neck of the woods. And then I put Cloud's capture piece in, which captures their address and their name because it sends them a little mini CMA. Together, I think it's the perfect tool. So I'm going to show you how to combine those. It's kind of my idea. You don't have to. It's really not even designed for that. It's just helped me close the loop. I can post that I know what I'm talking about, and I can grab their information and make them a new client, hopefully. All right, does that make sense? I'm going to show you I'm going to show you what I mean. It sounds a little confusing, but I promise when you see it, you'll be like, that lady with the fuzzy hair, she's on to something. Okay, so once you have your graphs, and you can create all different graphs, you just want to tell the story. For me, it's all about new listings, so I want to tell that story. Let me go back here. There are all different stories that you can tell, and you can also add in different things. Like maybe you want to tell them that three bedrooms are selling, you know, like hotcakes. You're looking for 3-bedroom listings. You can actually add in square footage. You can add in bedrooms, property types. You can add in waterfront. You can add in acreage. So these are all different dimensions that you can add into your post. Now keep in mind, nobody wants to read the same post. I taught this class, very, very nice man, a little bit older man, and he posted this like 3 times a week. That's really not what it's for. You want to be diversified in your posting. You don't want to post the same thing 3 times a week. But the studies do show that you should be posting, if you're trying to stay in front of people, at least 3 times a week, but different content. You don't want to be the old cranky person who only talks about real estate because then everyone avoids you at the party. You want to be the person who also posts some funny things about real estate. If you are on Facebook, there's something called the lighter side of real estate. They're free little cartoons, and they have little funny skits of different scenarios that you come across that we laugh about and that you couldn't make up in real estate. But they're little funny cartoons. Post something like that. Post, not only graphs, but your successes. Post things like, you closed a property, Willie had multiple offers in on his rod. Could you mind if I use you in your story? Okay. I'm going to use you because you're the only story I know right now, so I'm going to use you. He listed a house, and within 2 or 3 days, he had multiple offers and ended up selling it cash. That's a success story you want to post onto Facebook and say, want the same results? Call me today. So don't just post your listings. Don't just post your knowledge. Also post your success stories. Even if he never closes that property, that's a great story to get out there because people think, oh, he closed it in 2 days and he got cash? I mean, that's cool. It was cash, wasn't it? No, okay. I'm sorry, apparently I'm incorrect. It was not cash.
It was a
I
large cash down payment there.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll take that.
Easy
but-
mortgage.
So if you have those types of stories, it's even better cash. I'm making it cash in my story. So if you have those types of stories, make sure you're posting those successes too, and I'll show you some great ways to do that. Lastly, so you have fast stats. That's that quick graph. Again, all you're doing is clicking on fast stats, you're picking your area, and now you're going ahead and creating that graph. InfoSparks, this is where you're creating the story that you want to tell. You can add different variables, different types of reports. My areas. Again, if you are only doing waterfront and you just want to show, hey, I'm an expert in the waterfront area here in Grosse Pointe, I can actually use the tools just like you can in Paragon. Maybe I just want to be the expert over all the Grosse Pointes and a little into Detroit. You can draw your own area. Then all you need to do is save it and give it a name. So remember, if you want to show them that, hey, I work the waterfront from this end to this end and I'm the expert, draw your own area. Then when you're creating your story, all you're going to do is use that area. So let me show you. I'm going to go back into Paragon here. Go back to Market Stats. Now when I'm getting ready to tell my price per square foot story, I want to add an area in. When I click in here, I can pull from a particular area. I can pull from Colleen's area. I can draw an area. So if I'm already here and I want to draw that I'm going to be queen of the waterfront right here, I'm now comparing just that area. And again, I want to call this Colleen's. I thought I had a few saved in here, but apparently I didn't. Colleen's waterfront. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now I've created an area, and as you can see, it crosses city lines. It's actually 24.2 square miles, and so that's my particular custom area. When I'm telling them I know the area, I'm showing them my area. And I used to have a whole bunch saved in here, but I probably cleaned it up during classes. So now my areas is right here. When I click on that, I can say I want to use Colleen's waterfront area, and I can show the demographics for that area. So remember, if you're trying to show that you're the leader in Burton and another city, and you don't want to compare them or cross-reference them, you can always just draw your area and say, I work these areas, here's what's going on in those areas. Does that make sense? Okay. And another question, I kind of showed it but accidentally because I thought I had some saved, but if you've never drawn an area, when you come to this, all you have is area where you can draw it. If you've drawn your area, you'll see it under My Areas, and that's where you'll just pick that, and now you can cross-reference it right up at the top. Okay? All right. So before we get into cloud, because that's a little more extensive, you also now have the single property website. There's two pieces to this, and the first part we just turned on. So you guys have it, it's live, you can start using it. The other piece is not turned on yet because it actually has to go through a conversion of data before it's released to you. So I'm going to show you the whole thing, and then I'm going to show you what's coming and what you already have. So you can start using some of it now, and then long term I think you'll really like the list track portion, which gives you some reporting. If your seller says, hey, what are you doing for me today? You can send them a report of all the eyeballs that are coming in on their homes, which I really like. So let's actually talk about that. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you won't have the actual list track under social media yet. That's the piece that's coming. It's turned on, but you won't have it in your social media tools yet because the back end of it is not complete for you guys. But I'm going to show you what it looks like. So for me, unfortunately, my Huntley deal fell apart last night, and it had to go back onto the market this morning. I want to show my seller how many eyeballs are coming in on her Huntley listing. So what this is designed to do is kind of at a quick look at a glance, it's going to show you how many eyeballs are coming in and where are they coming in from. So in the last, I think this one's set to a week, in the last week I've got 1,200 eyeballs coming in from Zillow. So if you're spending money on Zillow zip codes, you want to track, is it worth it? Are people seeing it? Am I getting a lot of hits from there? I have some people looking at it in HomeSnap. I invite a lot of my clients to HomeSnap so they can actually see it, and I favorite all of my listings in HomeSnap so they show up in front of new clients. The idea that ListTrack has is that they want to show analytics from over 100 different sites. So soon you'll see that this is actually expanding because they're going to give you more of an option to see where are you bringing in the most traffic, where should your marketing dollars be going. How it works is as soon as you put a listing into the MLS, it automatically goes into this section and it creates a single property website for you. There's nothing you have to do. Within about 15 to 20 minutes, you'll get an email that says, hey, your single property website is ready to share. Would you like to share it? Basically, this is kind of what it looks like. If I want to go to my Huntley single property website, I'm going to click on the link, which again, I can share anywhere. It's just a link. It's going to show me the property photo. If they want to see it, they can schedule a showing. It'll have all of the interior, basically a gallery, so they don't have to click. On their phones, by the way, the gallery is all laid out. But if I don't want to have to click through each one on that main page, I can now go through here. It's a cute little house, isn't it? If you have a new Baltimore buyer, feel free. Huntley's back on the market if I didn't mention. So the important thing to note is when you're putting things into Paragon, you know how we kind of really harped on features of descriptions and putting captions on your photo? We kind of say that a lot. Captions and descriptions also feed over to these photos. So if I want to talk a little bit about the kitchen, if I put that in Paragon, it's also coming across on their phones when they're looking at it. It's also coming across on the single property website. So when you're adding in a listing, and I know it seems like it takes 3 or 4 extra minutes to put in captions and descriptions, do that because now we're syndicating those to more places and you're getting, especially...
Is that going to pull through to Zillow and Trulia as well?
Correct. It will pull through to many of those syndicated sites. The other thing about doing this is, I hate to sound negative because, again, I'm an agent myself, but sometimes we just take awful pictures. And you don't know, is this like a basement kitchen or is this like the kitchen? And, we have no, and agents don't put anything up there and their photos are out of order and you're thinking, okay, what am I looking at here? Or, you go, even yesterday I was looking at a photo and it was a foreclosure. The toilet lid was up and they, of course the front shot is just the toilet, right? Like you wouldn't guess that a bathroom had a toilet, but they couldn't even close the lid and it was not pretty in the bowl. And I'm like, can we just do a little better job? Just close the lid. I mean, if that, nothing else, just do that. So the idea is if you give captions and descriptions to those items, those now feed to more sites and it's going to tell your story better. So, here I wanted to point out that she just redid the glass backsplash and, we put all this time into writing these great remarks, so put them right on the photos because that's what buyers are looking at. Today they're clicking on the photos first. They're reading as they're going through. All right, so the single property website is really designed to be easy. As they go down, it'll tell them, it'll give them the comments about the property. I like this because it's very, I hate to use these words, but it's very Zillow-like, right? That's what our clients like. They want easy and clean reading. This is very easy and clean reading. It tells them exactly how many square feet, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, when it was built, just basic stuff. And I have to do nothing. It comes right from Paragon. Down here we have room sizes. What are the taxes? What are the features? And then down below there's a QR code. We don't really use QR codes here in Michigan, but it does give them a map so they can do that street view. They can get directions. It will give them your contact information. Here's why I like the single property website, and here's why I think most people should share this versus Zillow. The information on Zillow in many cases is outdated, but I can't blame Zillow completely because let me explain why it's outdated, because I contributed to this problem for a long time. When you put a listing into the MLS, our agreement is within 15 minutes that it will go into Zillow, it will create that property site for you, and Zillow had a really good idea. They said, we want agents to claim their listings and claim their sales. So we're gonna make it really easy. We're gonna send you an email right to your inbox that says, would you like to claim your new listing? So I of course did that. I wanted the ratings. I wanted to claim it on Zillow. I wanted all those stars those people had. So I claimed it. And then what I didn't realize until my CEO at my real estate started yelling at me one day, he said, Connie, did you ever read what you did? And I said, no, I didn't really read the fine print. Is that what you're asking? And he said, yes. He said, what you just did is you took our agreement that says within 15 minutes everything will be updated. So if I mark it pending in 15 minutes, that update is live in Zillow. And you basically said, turn that off. Any updates only go through me. And by the way, here's my photos and here's my captions that I wrote. And now Zillow, you own them. Well, that's a problem for me because I still to this day have a for sale by owner on Zillow who's using my photos, and there's nothing I can do about it. Now, why that is because I clicked the link and I said, Zillow, this is now yours. I broke the MLS agreement that said the MLS and the broker own it. And we're all about broker owned. Brokers own the data, brokers are the only ones who can give the data, and therefore me as an agent, I shouldn't be able to say, yeah, you get it, because my broker actually owns it. So here's what happens. When you claim them, you break that connection. And so a lot of times we see things that are active on Zillow that have closed 6 months ago.
Yeah.
It's because nothing is going to update that. You've taken that connection and you've broken it. Now when you mark it pending here, it will never be marked pending here unless the agent goes in and manually does that. But they don't tell us that. So all it looks like is they have this bazillions of listings on there that are active, and really, in fact, many of them are outdated and closed, and it's because we've touched them. Now, at the same point, I thought, well,
Good, now you can tell all your clients, see, I told you it was in it,
Yeah.
that it's not right, and
Yes.
they don't update their stuff. You need
exactly.
me.
Yeah, that when they call you 3 or 4 times and you say, no, actually, that closed last week, it does
Yeah.
help. It does help prove that point. But here's another thing. If you are one of those agents who really wants everything claimed in Zillow, you can do that, and there's a way to do it. If you want to claim your sales, want to claim your listings so that you get those ratings in Zillow, absolutely do that, but don't do it until you've closed it. Once you've closed it in the MLS, now they will send you, I promise, another email that says, would you like to claim the sale of your listing? Then claim it all day long, because you're not breaking, the feed is already done. You don't need that feed anymore, it's closed, it's done. Claim the sale, get the ratings, get the stars, but don't do it until you've closed it in the MLS, otherwise you've now given them all that information. So I did not know that. I was doing that until I got yelled at, and then finally I sort of got it. I'm like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. The other thing that when you're sharing from Zillow, if you're doing, be very careful. I had a friend who's been in the business 25 years. She does just millions of dollars every year. She's actually been the president of GMAR. She's been the national president of Women's Council. I mean, she's all these titles. And so I asked her one day, I said, hey, when you share from Zillow, have you ever clicked on the link and seen what you're actually sharing? And I was shocked when she said, no, it says share your listing from Zillow, I just do it. And so when I clicked and I actually opened it up and showed her, there's of course the 3 glowing agents with the hair blowing in the wind, the 5 stars, all airbrushed that look perfect. And they're, 92 ratings, they're 400 success stories, their client testimony, the whole thing, right? She, who does a tremendous amount of business, way down here in the bottom, no photo, no ratings, no stars. You got to scroll all the way to the bottom. It looks like she might be a lender or something. I mean, it doesn't even look like it's really her listing. And I'm thinking, so wait a minute, you did this great job taking photos, you did a great job writing all your comments, you got the listing, you put it in the MLS, and now you're giving it to those 3 people? That totally did not make sense to me. So when you actually share your single property website, You are only sharing you and your other listings. Also, it will share 90 days of your closed and it will show your pendings as well. So when they actually click through to the single property website, let's say from Facebook, the only thing, they're not seeing other brokerages, they're not seeing other agents, they're seeing you, and at the bottom, they're just seeing your other listings. You're not giving your hard work away to another agent. So yes,
So the question I have is, I'm working with a lot more buyers than I am listing properties at the
Okay.
moment. When I go through and look at the single property website, it's emblazoned with the listing agent's information. Is there any transference there that would allow me to put my own information and still give credit to whomever owns the listing and or the brokerage?
not through the single property website. Yes, there's a way to do that. I would do that through the flyer tool in
Sure.
Cloud. It actually makes a property report. I would actually share that from right onto Facebook.
Okay.
And I would say something like, this buyer got a great deal on, I'm so excited to watch their family grow in their new dream home, whatever it happens to be.
Okay.
It would give at the bottom that reciprocity to the broker who owned the listing, but really it would have all your information. It's also really good if you have somebody doing open houses for you on the weekend. Let's say you don't do open houses, you got someone at your office that does. When they type in your MLS number, it brands the flyer to them, but it's really yours. And at the bottom, it will give you the credit as where the listing came from.
Right.
So it's really good for sharing more. This is really more geared to your listings on this piece. But I will show you some cool things for what you described too. So when I'm ready to share this, so again, at the bottom, you're going to see contact information, contact the agent, but the only things you're going to see at the bottom are your listings and your sales. When I'm ready to go ahead and I'm ready to share this, the nice thing is if you have a lot of people sharing your posts, the idea is when they're sharing it, it's still your contact information. Even though Joe Schmagegi over here shared it, when they click through to your property website, it's always branded you. So the idea is it's bringing back the lead to you and your other listings. Again, you want to write a call to action, like this morning. I actually used this morning. I posted buyer financing fell through on this home. As of this morning, you have one more shot to get your buyer in the door. So you want to post something, 3 to 5 sentences. You want to make it catchy. Then you want to go ahead and you want to post it out to Facebook. You can post it to your business page first. Remember, that's get in the habit of doing that. You want to go up to the top, post it to your business page first or a page that you manage, and then share it right from there, right to your personal page. Yes.
What's your feeling on tagging 50 times?
Personally, sometimes I find it annoying.
Oh, we're definitely annoying.
You know, not everyone loves that, but I will tell what I do is I do boost. I'm a big booster of my listings, and I do find we were having a breakfast. We have a group of us at the MLS that are all agents, and we all teach. And we were saying that on return, after we do a boost, we generally see our traffic almost double, and pretty much across the board, you're getting more eyes on it, and people are seeing it. I'm not huge on tagging friends because I hate it when they do that to me, and then it's on my page, and they may not have loved it, and And the problem is I have a lot of realtor friends. I probably have more realtor friends than non-realtor friends, which makes it very frustrating. I don't do that, but I do boost them because I still want to hit them. And my average boost is probably $8. I mean, it's not expensive. So when you're thinking about advertising and you're doing mailers or you're doing things like that, it can get really expensive fast. Like we started doing KV Core, and it's hundreds of dollars a month to start reaching all these people if you're doing paper advertising. But if you're doing something like this, for $4, $5, $6, I think now the 4 is the minimum you can do. You can touch a great deal of people, especially in the areas. I'm listing a home today in Troy, and it is there's only 2 subdivisions, from my understanding, in Troy that have lake access, and this happens to be one of them. So I want to target everyone in Troy who's been looking at having that lake access because that's something really coveted. And so I'm going to try to boost it to most of Troy and then hit those keywords like recreational sports. Are they looking for a boat? Are they use those keywords to try to hone in for those lake sales.
You definitely had more success targeting those areas versus targeting your friends plus the friends. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do more, usually I will include the map and keywords is
Okay.
where I've had my most success. But I've talked, sometimes I talk to other people and they get these really good ideas. I'm like, I never even thought of that. So there's a whole social media class that will be coming out here. I am not, believe it or not, I'm here to show you the tools. There's actually a whole social media class. And we actually hired someone who had only been in the business for 2 years, and she was doing $8 million in her first 2 years. So we, of course, looked at her and we said, how are you doing this? And it was really almost uncomfortable for her because she invested a lot in Google and she invested a lot in social media, and she showed how to actually tag specifically, and she gave some really good examples. She will be out there, she'll be teaching that class. But she did a record amount of business, so much so that the other agents in the office that she started, they were very old school, they thought that they actually accused her of tapping into the phone lines to get listings because she was doing this record amount of business. I mean, really, I actually felt bad for her. She came in with tears in her eyes. I'm like, that's a terrible story. But she does a tremendous amount of business, and she said she does not spend any money on paper marketing. Everything she does is through social media. And her name is Chris Ford. She's outstanding. Matter of fact, she's actually coming up with her own institute to actually show people how to do it. That's how much success she's had in 2 short years. So she started off being a software director at a CRM called, I always forget the name, so I have to keep it posted, Basecamp. And you know, if you're looking for a CRM, it's a really good real estate centered CRM for doing drips and marketing campaigns, and that's where she started. She got her ideas of how to drip on people social media wise to stay in front of them but not annoy them, and how to really boost things to key demographics. So those will be things that you'll see in our specialty classes that we do. We have photography classes and social media classes, and they'll give you the even better ideas exactly where to focus. You give them what you're trying to do, and they'll actually give you, you might want to try this keyword or try this, and they're kind of more the experts. For me, I do, generally I'm doing an area. Sometimes, you know, if depending on the area, I might do specializing with seniors. If it's, you know, I know that they say you have to be careful because you can't really cross the line, but sometimes if you're in, you know, that's like in Sterling Heights, it's a huge senior community there. Sometimes hitting that word senior and bringing that traffic in has been helpful for me. Things like working over by the tech center. A lot of people trying to move in, we call it the Golden Triangle. There's this one area of Warren where everybody wants to live because it's 4 minutes from the tech center. Putting that word tech center helped me sell 3 of my listings in that Golden Triangle. So, you know, so, and you gotta track it, you gotta make sure you're doing the right things, you're seeing that return, but they'll be the ones to even ask the more in-depth questions. For me, I'm a little more into the mapping, keywords, and, you know, they change their algorithms too, so be careful when you post listings and things like that. A lot of times it looks different. I had a friend, a colleague of mine out of my office, he posted a listing just like this one, but when it came up, it says contact the seller. Well, to us in real estate, we're like, holy cow, who would put that in there? Well, it's their new algorithm that says you're selling something because we found a dollar amount in your list track, and so it was really trying to send you to him, contact the seller. But for us as agents, we went, oh my God, somebody put their seller's information in there. So you do have to be careful. Make sure you're reviewing your posts, especially right now while they're changing their algorithms. Yes.
How did that happen? Because that happened to me on Sunday.
Yes,
I did an open house, and then all of a sudden, my client shared it on a page that they had, and it said
Yes.
contact seller, and I almost called her and said,
Yes.
are you upset? Did I do something wrong? And
yeah.
so how did that happen again?
So they actually changed their algorithms for selling. And algorithms are behind the scenes, the beats, you know, how many eyeballs and what brings the eyeballs in, and if there's a price in your, so let's say they shared your house and you had a price on it. It now sees the price in the algorithm, and it matches with that you're selling something, and then it matches with you want to contact that person so you can get it sold.
The person is posting it, correct?
Usually it's the person, yes. It
Because it was my
depends on-
stuff, she just shared it.
Right, and so now she is sharing a dollar amount with that listing. So it says contact seller, and I only saw it the first time last week when they actually did change their algorithms. And it was shared by someone in my office, his name is Joe Anderson, and I reached out to him right away and I said, do you realize that your post with the new algorithms now says contact seller in green? What it does is Facebook says you're selling something, you have a dollar amount in here, so if they want to immediately be connected to you, they can click on this green. So in the normal world, outside of real estate, let's say I want to sell this purse or this umbrella. I put this umbrella on, I say it's a $10 umbrella. I put it on there and it says contact seller. That means it's going to send that lead to me and they can reach out directly to me to buy my umbrella. But in real estate, of course, that means something really scary, right? Because when we say contact seller, they're thinking homeowner.
Right.
So that's where, but with these new algorithms, you do have to watch because it's changing it up. It's doing new stuff it has not ever done
So
before.
can you do any, I mean, not include the dollar amount, is that the?
That's why you should be sharing it to a business page and then sharing from the business page.
Correct.
That's how you circumvent that entire issue.
Correct.
Well,
It's utilizing business
I
page.
did, I put it on my business page, but just happened to have 4,500 people on my personal page.
Right, and then you shared it, and someone shared it from there, and so
And
it's
that, yeah,
finding
it's what
the.
overlap
Are they
there,
gonna
so.
change that?
Correct. You know, they just changed it, so it's brand new, and we're gonna see little bumps like that. And matter of fact, and I shared something right after that, and I did not have that happen. But I do always share, especially my listings, to my business page and then to a personal. It should have actually still said, and I believe if you did that today, you saw that it should still be sending that contact back to you, because you created the original post and you are the record holder. So when they click that green, it should go to you. But still, on real estate posts, the last thing I ever want to see is contact seller.
So that's probably a good avenue for you to open up dialogue again with your client and let them know that that's there, and it's another touch, right? So you can look at it one or two ways. Yeah, bad, contact the seller, but you, as a listing agent, it's another touch with your client that will allow you an avenue to discuss it with them.
You could absolutely do that. I would try
Before
doing
coming.
that again. Try sharing it from your business page to your personal.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we have business pages because we're following the rules. They're not bringing in our traffic. Our personal pages are where our traffic is coming from, and people are asking us about the homes and they're scheduling showings. I too probably have, 1,100, Facebook friends. That's where my contacts are coming in. But if you don't have a business page, that's the sort of stuff that will keep happening. So try sharing it on your business page and then share it directly to, make sure they're hooked together, share it to your business page, share it to your personal, and I think you'll see that has gone away.
Okay.
So if it doesn't, shoot me a screenshot and I'll follow up on it further, but I think that will resolve your issue.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to here, you're gonna put in your 3 to 5 sentences, you're gonna now post this out. The other thing that you don't have yet, so you have this live right now, you can start using it, single property website. You'll actually see this on your listing ticket. So if I open up, what was it, 349 Claire?
345.
345. I was close. So if I pull up 345 Claire, when you pull up a listing ticket, you know how you have all of those little, and you may not have every single one of these yet. I have them just because I teach all different things, but you'll see a lot of these icons right on your listing ticket. The single property website will be this little house with the check on it. If I want to see the single property website for Willie's listing, I'm going to click on that house with the check, and that's going to take me right to that listing. Happens to be pending, so we'll post it for you. But the idea is every single listing will have that on there. So you can actually go right to a single property, but you can share it with a client that way. For me, the part that you don't have yet, I think you'll like even more than what I just showed you. So that's a great way to share it on social media. Again, the idea is you don't want to share it from Zillow because you're giving it to the Zillow agents who bought the zip code. You want to share you and just your success stories and your other listings. If you've got 10 other listings, by the way, they'll all be featured at the bottom of the page, so they still see all your other listings. Let's say that they weren't interested in Claire, but they absolutely loved your new Twining Street or whatever. Was it Twinings I saw you? What did you
Tacoma.
Tacoma. So that they loved that one. When they come to the bottom of your property website, it's got that listing there as well. So you're not giving it to anyone else. The other thing that it does is it has a QR code, and in Michigan really they never really caught on. In the West Coast I know they were huge, but it also has a texting code. And this is basically kind of just call capture 101 that we all used to pay for, but I actually just double dipped my Cranberry listing using this. So let me show you what I did. When I do a flyer, and matter of fact everybody in my office laughs because my flyers come from Cloud and they're very, very generic. I'm going to show it to you. It takes me about 12 seconds to make it. I only generally on my flyers include a front interior photo. I might, if there's a really nice interior photo, I might include another one, but I keep them very generic. So people in my office were like, Colleen, how stupid is it just to have a front picture of your home? And I said, you know, and I kind of laughed, and when I double dipped my listing, I reminded him that that's how I got it, but that's okay. What I do is I generally will keep it very generic with no price, kind of old school thinking, because I need them to want me, right? And I don't put a lot of interior photos because right here I say, if you want to see the interior photos and get the price, just text this number. So behind the scenes, they do that. They text the number, but guess what happens? As soon as they text it from their phone, I get a text on my phone with their name and their cell phone number and the property they just inquired on. So it's immediate call capture. By the way, Inman studies, I read a lot of Inman, just in case you didn't know. Inman studies also say that your rate of capture is 40 times higher if they're texting to get this. Now you text them, you're one, speaking their language because you know they know how to text. Two, it's not intimidating. You're not an agent asking, well, you want to get in right away? It's a simple text of, hey, did you have any questions on that property? So my Cranberry listing was kind of similar, same neighborhood as this one. Cranberry was picking up signs from an open house. Yes, old fashioned. I still do open houses occasionally when I have to. Picking up signs, somebody was texting for the price and the information. I happen to be in the sub. I text them, hey, I'm right down the street. Would you like to see the property or can I answer any questions for you? Happen to open the door 5 minutes later, it happened to be their home. So it's a really easy way. Now, if I had never gotten that person's name and phone number, I would have never showed that house. The idea is you do something simple like flyers or marketing and you keep them simple and you give them that call capture number. It's an easy way to get it right on your phone. If you want to try it just to kind of see how it works, you're more than welcome to. How it works is, let's see if I can blow this up a little so you can see it. If you go to your text messages, and the number, by the way, is always the same. I'll show it to you here. Let's see if I can connect. The number is always a generic number. It's a 248 number. And if you want to attempt to do it yourself, you're more than welcome. They put the number in, and then what they're actually texting, the number that's provided on the flyer, is actually the MLS number. Of course, they don't know that, but if I did 375859, I don't fat finger it, I should immediately now get, which I did, let's see if I can show it on this too. Sometimes it works with this projector and sometimes it can be finicky, so let's see. There we go. So immediately, when I typed in the MLS number, this is what I get. And I actually think it looks even nicer on their phones than it does as the single property website. Usually it's pretty quick, but you can do it. Okay. So now I can go in. Here's what it looks like as the single property website on their phone. If they want to be immediately connected to you, they can do get directions. They can enter contact information to be sent to you. But here's what I like. They have a question. They have your phone number. They simply click on Flo's phone number, and now that's going to go directly to her. They can send her information. But you see how it's focusing on her other listings at the bottom? I'm not seeing anybody else's stuff. I'm only seeing Flo's things. I can scroll through and see any of her other listings. I should be so lucky to have everything pending like she is. But the idea is they can also do a gallery view. So if they want to see all of the photos, they can go up to this little hamburger stack. Instead of clicking their way through, you can actually simply just scroll through that way. So there's a whole bunch of things that they can do, but I think it looks really clean and crisp. And really the whole idea of what I'm showing you is that now you've captured their information. Does that make sense? Good? Have I put anybody to sleep? Okay.
Is there any opportunity that we might be able to utilize a short code as opposed to like a 248 number?
Right now, this 248 number actually works for everyone. I don't know if there's I think they have where you can buy custom numbers, like little, kind of like the old call capture where you could do a custom number, but I think that's an upcharge. The number for everyone that we vendor is the 248 number, and then it's simply the MLS number that they actually do.
Well, since we're in an 810 area code, will we get a 248 or will we get an 810?
I'm pretty sure, if I assume yours, if I go into yours, or if you go into yours, oh, you don't have the list track part yet. I won't know that because the back end, as I mentioned, isn't done for you guys yet, and I apologize. The single property website is done, but this part, this is the part that will actually be coming. Yep, so that part, so I don't know what number you'll have. That's a good question. I'll check into that and let you know.
Well, what about Monroe and that?
They have the 248 number.
Okay,
So
that's our-
probably, I would guess probably, but I'll double check just to be sure. So, you have listing stats here. You can actually see, again, how many views, kind of like your hit list, if you ever used a hit list. I can actually see in the month how many views I've had, how many eyeballs came in, inquiries, shares, we just put back on the market, how many people favored it. So if they were looking at it and they favorited it, I can see that here as well. Kind of gives you a breakdown. Remember, their whole idea is they want to track more of where your property is being seen. Similar homes, how many are they getting? And then over here, there's also my reports. If your seller is that seller who says, you know, what have you done for me lately? Well, you can actually create different types of reports here. And obviously, I just put this back on the market, so I have any that are created. But you can actually go in and you can actually create different seller style reports that will show them how many hits they've had, how long they've been on the market, what the graphs are. Okay, so that, the listing part is coming. The single property website, when you're ready to share it, you're gonna open up your listing. You're gonna go to that house with the check. You're gonna click on it. That's gonna take you to that single property website. And then you're going to share with your little easy buttons right over here. Okay, there's also, you could also share by the link if you prefer, you can copy and paste that. Okay, so let's go over the last piece, and that is something we showed you if you took the cloud class, you're kind of familiar with this part. I'm just going to kind of show you how to hook it together. In Cloud CMA, so if you go to Resources, and you go to Cloud CMA, Cloud CMA had this idea that said, what if we gave you a landing page? What if we made you a landing page? And if you don't know what that means, it's basically just a page that is set up automatically for you to drive your traffic to. Okay, so but it's specific to you. So if I go to these little people up here at the top, my little profile, and I go to lead generation, it shows you kind of an example of what your lead generation page is going to look like. Now, I got a really funny call actually on the way here, and they said, Colleen, that lead button, that thing you showed us yesterday, that is broken. Because when I click on the lead generation, a woman by the name of Ella McPherson, the really pretty lady, shows up on my page. This is not your page. This is an example of what your page looks like. If you want to see your actual page, you have to click through and click on View My Landing Page. And that will show you what yours is actually going to look like. So you don't have to call me and say it's broken. It's just an example, so don't worry. The idea of Cloud's landing page is that you can actually share that landing page on social media, and you can just ask people, do you just want to know what your home is worth? Now, keep in mind, it is not designed to give them a CMA. It is not designed to give them a number. That's why they need us, right? If a computer could do all of this, then what do they need us for, right? The idea is it's really designed to tell them who you are and deliver your contact information while grabbing a couple neighborhood comps. That's really what it does. It does not give them a number. It just is designed to get enough information to send to you, the agent, to do an actual CMA. So in this case, there are two ways to do it. Now, because I'm always on the road, I have it automatically checked. Meaning, because I'm driving and I'm here for, 2-hour blocks, when I'm doing that, it automatically will do this for me, any request that comes in. If you are great about responding to your leads and you want to customize anything going out to the people, you can simply uncheck that and then you can respond. But here's the thing, they're used to fast. They're used to Zestimates now, thank you very much, Zillow, which, by the way, are a joke, but that's okay. So they're used to automatic, so you have to remember, if you are one of those people that takes you 2 days to respond, leave it checked. Don't uncheck it, otherwise this will not work. when you're ready to share it. And by the way, you can share it on, you can embed it on your website. For me, I've actually embedded it in my signature line. So right under my signature, when I'm emailing out, there's a little button that says, do you want to know what your home is worth? That little button is basically just embedding that code. You can embed it on a website, but anyone who's emailing with me, if they just want to click on the button, take me right out of the equation, find out what their home is worth, haha, I still get to contact them, they don't know that, but it does, it gives them your information. It's a lead grab, but it does give them some valuable stuff too. Gives them a couple of comps in their neighborhood, but it delivers your resume. It delivers how long you've been in the business, if you wanted to say that. It can deliver your company, it can deliver your track record, whatever you want to customize it. I have a friend who puts her whole marketing plan in there. I'm really not, I don't like the long ones, but I have some people who put their testimonial letters in there, why they should work with you. So you can actually make it as long as you want or as skinny down as you want. I tell people, don't put your 25 pages of glory in there. They don't want to read that. They want to know, really, they want to find out what their home is worth. So put 1 or 2 pages in about you and your company, how you're going to help them if they decide to choose you as your agent. But then make it kind of short and sweet so they don't have to go through 72 pages of what I call greatness. Sometimes agents get a little carried away with that.
Have we been able to figure out what report will get sent every time, or are we still having to go back through?
Great question. So they are working, their next release, you'll actually be able to choose which report you want to be standard here. That is not done yet. What it does right now is it goes to the last report you published. So if you have your resume and your marketing plan as your custom pages in the last report you published, that's what will actually be sent out. The problem is if you put in custom letters and things like that, I'm always nervous, and so far I haven't seen it, but I'm always nervous. I always leave off, I created a dummy CMA, and I always leave off of that CMA. So I know the last one I published was short and perfect for the lead gen. If I'm doing a lengthy CMA, like for the engineers today, then I switch my template, and then at the end I just republish mine so that I always leave off on my default. It goes by your last one that you've sent. But very soon in their next release, you'll actually be on this page, you'll actually be able to choose from your template box which you want to actually work with us. Right now it's kind of just the last one you did.
Any idea when that'll be?
No, I don't have an exact date for that. I'm sorry. I can check and let you know. I have your contact information saved in my phone. So.
We talk every now and again.
So yes, every once in a while. So, and we will be now that I have to fix the showing thing. So this is basically just designed to say, where do you want to now share this? So I now want to share my landing page on Facebook. So I'm going to go in and I'm now going to write a story. Like sellers, again, 3 to 5 sentences, sellers receiving record square footage prices, whatever I want it to be. Once I go in and I actually type in the story that I'm trying to tell, I'm going to go ahead and I'm now going to post this. And by the way, if you don't want people to see this, you can change it from your friends to only you. As a matter of fact, let me do that so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. The first time that you post, if you're not sure what it's going to look like, I like to be my own guinea pig because I'm always afraid I'm going to embarrass myself. I like to embarrass myself to me instead of the whole world. So if you want to see what it's actually going to send the first time to make sure it looks just like you want it to, I would recommend changing this from friends to more. So if you go down to more, you can change it to only me. So if you're going to post this out the first time till you see what it looks like to the world, I would recommend changing it from your friends being able to see it to only you being able to see it. And that way when they look at it, they don't see it, you see it, just your eyeball. So you can actually test it. You can write exactly what you want to sort of play around with it before you make it live. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click post to Facebook. I'm going to put my call to action there. Again, I've made it so that only I see it. So now if I have a friend on Facebook, let's say I did post it out to me. And you'll know, by the way, if you can see it, just in case you're not too familiar with Facebook, if you see this lock, that means only your eyeballs see it. So if you see it and you see that lock there, that you know that you're the only one that's going to be able to see that. When you click on it, it's going to take you into a page, that your landing page. It says, what's your home worth? All they have to do is start typing their address, and it will quick fill. The reason that it quick fills is because it's actually going to locate it on Google Maps. So as soon as they start typing in their address, they will be able to choose which of the properties is theirs, And then it'll say, congratulations, we just found your property. It's gonna show them on the map where they're located. And it's gonna say, let us send you your valuation report. So I'm gonna put in my email address, which by the way, they can't put in a bogus email address, which I like, because sometimes you pay for leads and you get like joe@nevercallme.com, you know, those leads that we all love. This has to be a real email address because it's going to email them the report. They can even put in square footage of their home, so it will actually give them even better, closer comps to theirs. It's not designed to be perfect, and it's not designed to give them a number. What it is designed to do is simply get your contact information in front of them and send you their address and contact information. When they click email my report, they immediately get, if you want a more accurate valuation of your home, then just give me a call. Here's my email address, so the agent's contact information is now right in front of them. Behind the scenes, what just happened is, as the agent, I just got an email, and it takes about a minute. I will now get an email they're working on your, really, I saw your name pop up, so they're working on your photos as we speak, so it's good I don't have to call and yell, they're already working on it. Behind the scenes, I will get an email as the agent that tells me someone requested a CMA, so it takes about a minute, so we'll give it a second. If I want to see what's been sent to them, it's going to provide me a link so that I can see it, but it also, back in my cloud account, so I'm going to go back to Cloud CMA. Do you see how it has this little Facebook button right here? It just tells me that Colleen DeLange got sent, this is her address, this is what got sent to Colleen. I can click View PDF and I can actually see just what went out to that person. Now remember that we're all using the same tool, so what really makes this good is if you add your custom pages in, add your resume in, add about your company in, add how long you've been in the business, because if we all send the exact same thing in this room, what's the value to it, right? You want to put what you specialize in, what makes you the expert that they use you or anyone else that they get this from. So the idea is when you're doing that, you go up to this little person, and we teach you all this in the Cloud CMA class if you haven't taken it yet. If you go to that little person and you go to custom pages, it's very simple to bring in the custom pages that are going to make it unique for you. So if I go to custom pages here, I can go in, I can fill out my resume, I can create a new page and give it a name if I want, or I can go all the way down to the bottom, and here's a lot of the custom pages that I use, like my sites. If you've taken the class, the cloud class, one of the things that I have in every CMA that I do is the 400 sites that they're going to be on. So it's just something I made. It didn't take me very long. But what I did is I got tired of answering that question every time I would do a CMA. Is my house going to be on Zillow? Is my house going to be on Zillow? Is my house going to get tired of saying that? So it's easier to just put a page together that says, your house is on Zillow and 400 other sites. By the way, if you want something like this, you're more than welcome to leave me your card and I can email it to you, strip my logo off, and you can use it yourself. Just make sure that you do syndicate to 400 sites or change that. The idea is what makes it custom is the pages that you build into it. That's what makes it special. So if you want to put a page in there that says, I would love to help you as your realtor, here's my success record, here's how long I've been doing this, that's a great resume page to include in that custom section. Every time you use lead gen, it then would go out. So I'm going to go back and see if we've got, okay, so here's what you get as the agent. I apologize, it took a little over a minute. The agent gets, hey Colleen, someone requested a CMA. Here's the address, here's the contact information, here's the email address, and here's what we sent them on your behalf. So now I can actually go through and see it. What they received, and I was actually testing Cloud this morning, I don't know if I left this as my default, but what they received is all of my contact information, my CMA, and if they click here, they can see my default report. If I change this back, I'll show you what they should be getting. And again, you don't want this to be, 37 pages. But what they get is, because remember, we found their address literally from a map. So they get the overhead, they're going to get things like my contact information, who I am, what is a CMA, maybe where it pulled those random comps for me. And I would probably also not include this page. You can actually take this page out, because again, I don't want them to have the number. This is just a regular CMA. And then the comps that it actually pulled in. It will even show them the interior photos of the comps that it pulled in. So remember, you're gonna make this as detailed and ornate as you want it to be. It does right now use the last CMA report that you set up. So as I did my CMA for my appointment this evening, it's going to pull that. So if you leave off, what I recommend is create a little fake CMA like on your own property, and make sure when you leave off, you always click the default, so that way you have a nice short sweet one. Anyone who clicks on it then gets your default.
So, to be clear though, you wanna go into that fake / dummy one. You wanna go in there, you wanna basically edit it and then publish it again. Even though you're not gonna edit anything, go into it, access the details, then republish it again, right?
Correct. Actually, what you would do is just that. So I'm going to go into Sally Seller here. And this is my dummy one, so just so you know. What I would want to do is I'd want to click the edit button to open it up. And right on customize, just show you, I have actually named mine Lead Gen, because it's just easier for me because I'm blonde and I forget things. So for me, you can actually create a bunch of templates in here. So they give you the built-in templates, but you can also make your own. So if I go down to my short CMA package, I've named one Lead Generation, because you can name them whatever you want. So you can see Colleen's CMA report. I did kind of a special class on one time. And then here's my Lead Generation. These are ones that I built. So when I click Lead Generation and I republish that report, that's now going, I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to republish that so it only has those basics in there. That's how you make sure your default is saved. Soon, again, it will be even easier because you'll be able to check that box, which we've been really excited about, but I was kind of hoping it was going to be the last release, but not so much. So cloud is a whole different class. If you haven't taken the cloud class, I recommend that you do. It's probably the #1 tool. As I mentioned, for me, it used to take me 26 minutes to do a CMA. I can do a really thorough CMA with all the bells and whistles now in about 8 to 10. And it makes a great presentation. It includes all the interior photos. I invested in like a $19 binder, which made it really easy. But that is it. All right, so your homework is to make sure that you have your lead generation profile set up. Make sure your photos are added into cloud. I will send you your cheat sheets for everything that I showed you today. The last thing is that I wanted to show you is don't be afraid to mix and match them. As I said, if you're doing lead generation, you may want to start off with your market stats post on Facebook. You may want to post something like this. In your subject line, so I'm going to go and I'm going to edit this and just kind of show you. So I'm showing them right here what's going on in their market. But now, if you think about it, we're showing them we're an expert, but how are we grabbing them? How are you closing the loop? That was my problem. We had all these great social media pieces, and by the way, there's 2 more that we don't even have time to fit into this class that we'll show you coming soon. But the other piece is now, how do I capture them? They've clicked here. What's the hook? How do I capture them? That's where I would recommend adding in your cloud link and say something like this. Look, in your area, homeowners are getting record square foot prices. Do you want to know what your home is worth? Just click this link. Something really easy. I'm showing them how much more they're getting. They're clicking the link now and getting their name and their contact information. So don't be afraid to play with it. Hook them together. This was kind of something I just thought of. I was teaching a class and a broker said, yeah, but where's the close? I'm like, oh, that's good. Okay, let's close. So sometimes it's using more than one. Remember, don't post the same things repetitively. Change it up. Put some funny stuff in. Put a little bit of lead gen in. Put a little bit of a lead grab in. And make sure that you're posting on average about 3 times a week. All right? And any questions? I know it's a lot. And if you're just getting started, I promise, go in, post it for yourself, post it for your own eyes only a few times. Once you do it, I think you'll be very comfortable with the process, and then you can post it out to your friends. All right, so thanks so much for your time. You guys are my only class today. So.